From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, Renegade Express, questions about attrition, the transfer portal, and more. Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill in Tallahassee, Florida. How about our guy Mark from Naples? Miss being in Tallahassee in the Corner Pocket. Corey's Dart Challenge was fun, and I think I ate at least 2 of the pressed ham and Swiss sandwiches this past weekend. That place is legit. We told you, folks. We told you. Listen to Mark if you're not going to listen to Corey and myself. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, cptallybar.com. That's the website. And it's Thursday, so it is bingo night at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Go check them on out. Check us out, warchant.com. We're open all the time, every single day of the week, every month of the year. Warchant.com. No promo code, $29.99 for full premium access up until September 1st. Take advantage. Join us. The offseason, you think it's going to be long, but it'll be over before you know it. I think we're like 136 days away from the opener, Corey, so drink it in, everybody. Come in. The water's just fine. Thumbs up, 5-star rating and review. Corey, I trust you're well?
I am. Thanks for asking, Aslan. I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm good.
Not a lot of voice inflection in me because we have a mailbag to get to, Corey. But I guess before we jump in the mailbag, just some news and notes from the last time we all spoke. Can we just get baseball out the way real quick? Do you want to paint the picture at all? Probably one of the 10 worst losses in athletics program history of Florida State that we'll forget about in like a year and a half, though. Like 2-3 years after we've won it all and we're in Omaha, we won't even remember this game. But 15-14 in extra innings in Jacksonville against UNF. Gutty effort from Florida State. You thought they were on the doorstep of a really cathartic win, and they just keep finding new and creative, painful ways to blow leads late. Do you want me to paint it more? I thought.
Keep going, man. Keep going.
Man.
Go.
Cam Smith knocking out home runs to tie the game up. I mean, they hung 4 in the top half of the ninth to tie the game up. I think they were up 7-5 at one point, and then squandered that lead away. But they hang 4 runs in the ninth inning to push it to extra innings. In the 10th inning, Cam Smith leads off with a home run. Noles tack on a few more runs in that inning. But then they just quickly blow it in the bottom half. Leadoff double, then a walk. I think maybe a wild pitch, RBI single sprinkled in there maybe somewhere. Basically, they were so pressed in the bullpen, Corey. They had Jordan Carrion came on and had to pitch. And he got an out via a fly ball, but then I guess walked the batter, and the ball got away from the catcher, and it was credited as a wild pitch, and that was a walk-off win for UNF. Florida State shortstop, as if they're playing, Little League Baseball. The shortstop's like, I'll help out, coach. And they lose 15-14. I don't know. I don't know what feelings are left to experience rooting for Florida State baseball this year.
Man, I'm going to say it again, and I'm not trying to be outlandish, but it just doesn't seem like it's the Noles year this year when it comes to baseball. I don't think they're going to get it done. I mean, they're now 2-20 in their last 22. What are you going to do? A lot of one-run losses. A lot of one-run losses, like Wednesday night. They're right there, but yeah, it's one of the worst Power 5 teams in the country. I mean, there's no way to argue it anymore. They can't beat anyone, folks. They scored 14 runs and lost to North Florida.
Hammer out 17 hits.
Yeah. It's just what they are. They're a very bad baseball team.
Okay, since we last talked, 2 players jumped into the portal, one yesterday and then I think one on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. Antavius Woody, who primarily, I think, played offensive line in high school out of Alabama, was able to finally enroll in Florida State. There was some, he was going through some stuff to make sure he could get here on time. He was able to get to Florida State on time last year and go through everything, but ultimately ends up on the defensive line, buried on the depth chart, enters the portal. And then on Wednesday, Steven Dix, who got the Norvell endorsements. Like when you put your name in the portal and you're from Florida State, you want that retweet from Coach Norvell endorsing, saying that you're a really good guy, good player. Steven Dix got that. He's another guy that was wasn't running with the ones or the twos. He was seeing a significant amount of playing time, but that was because Florida State was just so darn thin at linebacker. I don't think he factored into their plans for this upcoming season, so not much of a shock or surprise. But again, that's a position of need. But I guess, hey, that just opens the door for you to bring in somebody that's more capable to hop in there. The attrition has started, Corey, right? These are guys that you're shedding off your roster. And I hate saying, like, I don't want to say you're happy to see them leave, but, like, you understand why they're leaving, and it's for the best for your program.
I mean, yes, and it's probably for the best for them, right? The players that are leaving. Woody and Dix, Brendan Gant, maybe. Brendan Gant probably would have been in the mix. Steven Dix was not going to play for this team unless there was a rash of injuries. And Woody was never going to play for this team. And I don't mean this program. I mean this team in 2023. Those guys just were not part of the plans at all. Woody especially, but Dix even to a slightly lesser extent. They just weren't. They were barely on the 3 deep. So if you can see, they're smart enough guys. They were there for spring. They know where they stand. They're not going to play at Florida State, so they get in the portal. So far, you hate to be, cavalier about it or callous, but yeah, man, so far you feel okay with these portal entries. You've withstood like ones that'll sting. Those don't sting because they were not going to be a factor for you this year. If either one of those guys was on the field or starting for you in 2023, some things went horribly wrong. So right now you don't feel it. That doesn't mean that Woody couldn't be a good player down the line as a defensive lineman. He's only been doing it for, 4 months. And Dix maybe finds a system where he's better fit, or he figures out another way to use that massive physical, freakish kind of body, but it didn't look like he had any of the tools to be the kind of linebacker that Adam Fuller is looking for. So you wish him well, right? I mean, they tried. They'll go on. That's the beauty of the portal for the guys like this, is they're not just buried on a depth chart where they'll never play college football. Both of those guys have a chance to play somewhere, you think.
Yeah. It's attrition. It's always happened. But now there's, it's just more visible. It's more transparent. So best of luck to those guys. No reason to wish any ill will on them. I don't know the official number of guys they have on scholarship. Maybe I should have spent some time doing that, but I was archiving video from this past spring, which you folks don't care about, and it's totally fine. Let's get to the mailbag, Corey. Island Chief, wake up! Congratulations, Corey. Lots of congratulations coming your way, Corey, so just buckle up.
Okay, good. I can't wait. Nice.
Very best wishes to you and your lovely fiancée. Lots of love being shown by the willingness of people to commit to the ones they hold dear in their hearts. But let's get real here. This class is starting to look pretty loaded. What are the economics of signing kids like this for us? Not a problem we have faced recently. How do the economics of a top 5 recruiting class work? Question mark.
I mean, it's a good question, right? Nobody has a for sure answer on that. It's why all the NIL stuff still feels a little shady. It's because you don't get real numbers.
Yeah.
And we will probably never get real numbers, right, Aslan?
I don't think so. No.
So I could harbor a guess, but that's straight up a guess. I legitimately
You could hazard a guess, Corey.
Nope. I'm switching it.
Okay.
I'm tired of even trying to get it right.
Okay.
I'm going to harbor this guess.
All right.
I'm going to harbor it and nobody can hear it.
And not let it out.
I'm going to hazard this. I'm not going to even hazard it because I have no idea what the number 1 tight end in the country is worth. Couldn't even hazard a guess. Yeah. What would you think, Aslan? $250,000? 80,000? 500,000? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's a tight end. It's not a quarterback. It's not the number 1 receiver in the country. What did Deuce Robinson get from USC? Like, that's how. Let us get back to you. We'll reach out to Dominic and see what the going rate is for 5-star tight ends.
It's a fair question, one that I just am going to kind of plead ignorance to, but I probably shouldn't because it's our job to kick these questions around and think about it. It's so hard to wrap your head around it because just the sheer number and the scale, right? I mean, you got 85 guys on scholarship. You're going to be at a point, I would think you're going to be at a point here in 2-3 years when you're Florida State, you're Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, etc., where, I don't know, Corey, I mean, literally, 99% of your scholarship players are going to have some sort of NIL deal?
Yeah.
Because you'll be recruiting the cream of the crops when it comes to when you're Michigan, you're Ohio State, you're Florida State, you're Alabama, Georgia. And I just can't imagine how you scale out, all right, we're going to pay Jordan Travis X amount of dollars. What are we going to pay Brock Glenn? You know, I mean,
Right.
it's tough to think about. But I mean, I know I don't know. Let's just throw some numbers out there. I mean, if you had, let's just say $50,000 on average per year for a player at 85 scholarships, that's $4.25 million.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
so
if I set that as the over/under, what are you thinking? I mean, under, I would have. I just.
like I said, I'm not smart enough to know. I would think it's. I mean, it might not be that far from that. Like, Travis, Verse, Benson, Johnny Wilson. Like, I would assume those guys are over $1 million all told.
Combined, not each.
Yes,
Yeah, not
yes,
each,
yeah. And so the other 81 guys are getting what, $5,000? I mean, no, they're going to get some too. So yeah, man, I think that's probably the going rate. I think what's going to be interesting and we'll see how long this current phase of NIL lasts with the no regulation. But is there going to be like a salary cap? And I mean, I don't even mean a salary cap. I mean like a rookie scale, like a minimum. Because there's no way they're going to have one scholarship guy that's getting, I just want my classes paid for, but the other 84 guys are getting paid. I think there's going to be a minimum for each scholarship football player that hopefully they know their worth or what their worth is or isn't. But I would think out of the 20 guys that you're going to sign in this recruiting class, they're all at least getting a minimum of something. It might be 10,000, might be 50, might be 4. I don't know, but they're all getting something, right?
Yeah.
And some get more than others. And I guess there's a way you show that to families and high school coaches. This is the payment structure. This is what we have as you for a freshman. If you get to this point, this is where we go. That kind of thing. It's outlandish. It's crazy that we have these conversations, but it's a very good question. I don't know the answer, but I have to imagine you're talking about millions and millions of dollars for a high-level college football team to be competitive.
Every single year.
Yep.
Every single year.
Yep.
DeMarco Ward, again, he was a consensus 3-star linebacker. His offers were Louisville, UCF, Memphis, Wake Forest. You have to kind of counterweight that against a guy like Jared Verse, who was 25 on McShay's NFL draft hot board, and then kind of come to some sort of median and then figure out like an average of these guys. But, yeah, I mean, to say that DeMarco Ward isn't worth anything because that's who you're competing against, that's kind of callous probably. But is a guy like that happy just coming to Florida State and kind of looking around and realizing, hey, man, I'm probably not in the immediate plans that linebacker my time will come. Do they give him kind of, some roadmap where it's like, listen, man, once you get on the field for us and we feel comfortable, this is what we're offering guys that are playing your position right now. So in 18 months, when you're entering your second or your third spring football and you've had 2 full seasons here, this is what we're comfortable giving you, and that's probably where you'll be at. And I don't even know who we can really ask to figure this stuff out, but we'll keep
we could get numbers, but they're all like, hey, man, this is just between you and me.
Right.
Nobody wants to broadcast these numbers. Nobody wants to because they don't want the other players on the team that might be getting less knowing that they're getting so much less. Or, if these guys find out that, Georgia's paying twice as much, or Tennessee, or whoever, man, Auburn, they're all going to keep it under wraps. These schools are finally paying players, but they want to keep it as under wraps as humanly possible. That's why the Miami stuff was so goofy. He would broadcast how much money they were paying these guys. I hope those guys got their checks already, by the way.
Yeah, apparently.
And so here's another one, and I know we got to go. We'll answer more questions, but what if Vandravius Jacobs was like, hey, guys, I think the price of business just went up. Right. You guys thought you were signing one player, or at least the rest of the country thought I was this one player. I proved to you guys I'm probably going to play this year. And, I probably deserve as much as the other freshman wide receiver that was here this spring. Probably more. That's the kind of stuff you're going to run into Those are the unintended consequences of NIL. Because I'm not saying Vanderavius would ever do anything like that, but this will start happening around the country. The kid that was the 3-star, kind of the afterthought, that shines in the spring or shines through the first month of the season, is all of a sudden going to want more money. Yeah. That's the way the world works, man, once money gets involved.
Quint67, wake up. We had a great time in Tallahassee last weekend. My son and I came down from Charlotte so he could take a campus tour. Hopefully we have a legacy Nole inbound. We had a great time on campus. He was pumped about the Battle's End fan experience, and he got to meet Coach Norvell Friday.
And I think he got to meet Corey Clark on Saturday.
There we go.
Just throwing that out there, gang.
Question. Transfer season is upon us. Has anyone talked to the support staff about what the actual scholarship count is at currently and with expected new enrollees, freshmen and the unicorn? I keep hearing about needs, but I feel like we are still in reduction mode. True. But yeah, they're both happening concurrently.
Yes. They keep the number was shaved off by 2 on Wednesday or this week. I guess it's been shaved off by 3 in the last 48 hours.
Yeah, you count Brendan.
I
don't know why.
It's hard, man. It's hard because we don't know who's on scholarship. We don't know who's on scholarship.
But who? Yes, we do.
We don't know that. Is Keltner on scholarship? Is C.J. Campbell still on scholarship?
He was preferred walk-on. C.J. Campbell, no way he's on scholarship. I mean, love the kid.
I think C.J. Campbell might be on scholarship. I think they might have given him a scholarship. Now, they're 1-year renewable, so they could pull it back. But they don't. When some of these schools go into August and they have 81 scholarships available, they have 81 scholarship players. Well, they'll give 4 away to walk-ons. Well, that doesn't mean they want to, so we don't know exactly who's on scholarship and who isn't. We know they're close. We think they're anywhere from before Woody and Dix, I think it was like they were 3 over. It's somewhere in that neighborhood. Now, that doesn't include Destin Hill. You've still got other guys that you're probably out. What would you think, Aslan? We're April 20th. 10 days for other kids to enter the portal. I think you're going to look and see at least 5 or 6 more Florida State guys enter the portal.
Yes.
And that will get you under the cap, quote unquote, where you don't have to worry that you're not bumping right up against it. You'll have some leeway to get your 85 scholarship guys.
I hope that did not come off mean to C.J. Campbell. He's a great human being. He's a really good football player too. I wouldn't be that upset. I'd be a little bit surprised, but I wouldn't be upset. But yeah, they've still got guys: Blake Nicholson, Conrad Hussey, Keith Sampson Jr., Edwin Joseph, Sam Singleton, Goldie Lawrence, Chris Otto. I mean, they got a bunch of guys showing up in the summer that are not here yet.
Right.
And then I just wonder, what are you waiting for if you're a player? The writing is on the wall. You've been through 15 practices over the course of, 30-something days or so. You've been here for several years. I sound like a jerk, and I apologize. I'm not trying to sound that way, but you got to realize, all right, this is why I'm here playing college football. I am not playing college football. I should probably go somewhere where I can play college football. I just don't know why there's such inertia in that happening because, my gosh, Colorado, before Colorado and Texas even played their spring games, guys were leaving, and more have left since they've played those games. Meanwhile, Florida State has shed 3 guys. One of them is probably in your quasi 2 deep, maybe a 3 deep. The other guys, no. And it's let's get busy figuring the rest of this stuff out. But, not that I don't trust this coaching staff, of course. It's kind of as an onlooker, it's a little bit frustrating. But they'll get there. They always do.
They'll figure it out. They'll get to the limit they need to get to, for sure.
All right, let's see how many more questions we can get to today. 8th generation Nole, wake up. Now that wedding bells are ringing in the near future, what's the best wedding meal you have had? Is it better buffet style or prepared and plated? Do you want a mix of surf and turf or stick to a theme? When budget is no object, what's the best spread you'd want to share with you and your bride's family and friends?
Yeah, that's tough. They're all good questions. Seasonal because of the good news last weekend. I had shrimp and grits at one of my buddies' weddings, and I thought that was really good. And I don't like when you sit there and they deliver it to you. I think buffet style is the best because you can meander. You can go when you want to go. You don't have to sit there. You don't have to. I don't know. I just like it more where it's more casual. You can go sit at one table, go get seconds, and go sit at another table.
Oh,
You don't have assigned seating.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
like assigned seating at
Corey
receptions.
Clark, the Southwest Airlines of weddings, just no rules.
Absolutely, just whatever, man. Just go get it.
Yeah, I like structure. If I ever did get married, I probably would do the whole plated. You're at your seats. I'd have a whole diorama. I'd have it all mapped out, like the tables. I'd have little figurines and stuff, and I'd have like a bald guy that would like represent you, like what table you'd be sitting at. I'd go all out. But no, best wedding I ever went to, though, to prove your point, I guess, Corey, was like buffet stylish. Man, it was at a place back home called the Kapok Tree, which is this really ritzy place back in the day, and it closed and it opened back up. But she had, I knew the young lady who got married. Shout out, they're still married, by the way, too. They had a pasta bar. They had a sushi bar. Like, they literally had human beings there in the white robe and big tall hat, like rolling sushi. This was before I liked sushi, though, which is sad. They had a prime rib station. They had a dessert station. So, like, you would just walk up to these places and get sushi or get more pasta or get more prime rib or get all these different desserts. That was by far, like, the best wedding meal I'd ever been to. My buddy Mike, though, Mercedes Mike, they had, I don't even know if they had a wedding cake. They had, like, they had two different wedding cakes. One of them was, like, an apple pie flavor. The other one was, like, cannoli. I don't know. It was all done in New York, so it was done proper, like an Italian bakery. That was the best, like, wedding cake dessert I ever had. But yeah.
I'll tell you this: if you're invited to Corey and Stephanie's wedding reception, you can get that pressed ham sandwich that Mark from Naples was talking about. You can get the best wings in town. It's going to be a corner pocket, baby. So you can get. It's going to be a vast menu, and you can sit wherever you want. There won't be assigned seats.
J Cherry 904. Hello, Aslan and Corey. Wake up. And good morning from sunny Arizona. Longtime listener. I have really enjoyed the podcast throughout the years, even when Willie was pouring gasoline on the dumpster fire. Parenthetically, he adds, dark times, man.
Yeah.
I'm expecting a lot more attrition on this team, especially in the offensive line room. Amen, brother. Do you guys think all of our transfer linemen end up in the top 5-8? Personally, I would love to see some of our younger non-portal guys push for starter reps, namely Julian Armella.
So he's saying top 8?
Top 5, top 8. Do you think all of our in the top 8, yes. In the top 5, yeah. No, because Keandre Jones probably is not starting today.
Yeah, I don't see where he starts. I guess perhaps Roddick wins the center job, and then Keandre Jones is one of the guards, and Byers is one of the tackles. But I just feel like I think it's Roddick and Keandre Jones battling, and one of them's so I think two of the three
because Dimitri Emanuel's got the other guard spot.
Yeah. I think two of the three will start, and then but I think all three will be in the top 8. All three linemen will be at the top 8. Now the question is, are they cool with that? Is Keandre Jones cool? I don't even know what the rules are. Could he just transfer again if he's not starting? I don't know how that would work. But I think he's the one that I think's on the outside looking in right now for the starting 5. Yeah. But what a great depth piece.
Yeah, I mean, but hey, it's offensive line. You're always just one snap away from getting thrown in the mix.
And they play all these guys everywhere, and there's no guarantee that Dimitri Emanuel beats somebody out. Like he didn't have this kind of competition last year, so that's not a guarantee, even though he's still on the team. And it's not a guarantee that Roddick beats Keandre Jones out, or maybe it's not a guarantee that Maurice Smith stays at center ahead of Casey Roddick. So there's so many pieces that I would be surprised if all 3 transfers are starting, but I definitely think 2 of them will.
VitaminEnergy.com. Vitamin Energy is a powerful boost of energy that nourishes your body with vitamins and supports healthy weight loss and so much more. Take it as a shot, or you can pour it into your water bottle and sip on it throughout the day. This vegan and kosher certified, gluten-free, non-GMO, zero sugar mix will give you the energy boost you crave without any of the crash. They've got offices in Florida. They're led by a slew of FSU grads, including an all-ACC track standout. So they're hooking up our listeners. Go to vitaminenergy.com. Use the promo code WARCHAMP, BOGO, B-O-G-O, and you will receive any item of equal or lesser value for absolutely free. They've got 9 different varieties of vitamin energy. They also have the 8-hour sleep. Pretty solid. They have formulas that will boost your immune system, the focus, your pre-workout kick, even your mood. Your mood, everybody. I didn't even yell at my mother for 48 hours when we hung out 2 weeks ago on 0 sleep and maximum physical exertion, probably because of the mood. Probably.
You should and also you should never yell at your mom.
I shouldn't. No one should. But listen,
right.
It's one of those weird things. Like everybody, like growing up, maybe it's just my group of friends. Like I loved everyone's mom, right? And then like you would see your friend get sassy with their mom. You're like, dude, like what are you doing? Your mom's the best. And then like you would do it, and they'd be like, why are you yelling at your mom? Your mom's the best. And it's like, you don't understand. But anyhow, happy early Mother's Day to all the mothers. We love you all. I do.
There you go.
Try the variety pack. It's got all those shots. You can try them out, see which one works best for you. VitaminEnergy.com, promo code Warchant, BOGO. Nole Dad for life? Wake up, dudes. One thing I don't get, I feel that doesn't get talked about enough is conditioning. I was wondering if you noticed any difference in the player's stamina this spring versus last. Appreciate any insight you could possibly offer. P.S. Congrats, Corey. Hope you both have many years of happiness together.
Thank you. I appreciate that. To all the well wishes, I really do appreciate it. And so does Stephanie. So does the, I guess we call her the future Mrs. Clark now that it's official.
Any less pressure, Corey, that you have to spend the rest of your lives together because now you're in your mid to late.
I was going to say we're almost halfway. We're halfway home. We're more than halfway home. Yeah, there isn't.
With Shanna the first time around, I was like, damn, man, it might be like 60 years of having to do this. Now it's like, 40 years, piece of cake. I can knock it out.
We're on the back end. We're on the back end, man. It's like you don't want to say you're playing golf, Aslan, like we just did, and you don't like the people you're playing with. Well, 5 hours of that, when you're on hole 1, you're like, man, this could be a long day. I don't know if by hole 3, you're like, I don't know if I could do this for 15 more holes. This is a long time. But if you pick a straggler up on the 13th hole, I mean, you can manage the rest of the way. It's like we only got 5 more holes till we're done. Right. So that's kind of what this is with Stephanie. She's like a straggler between the 12th and the 13th.
Oh, gosh.
She'll appreciate that. She doesn't listen. She'll appreciate that analogy.
Stamina. How they look better conditioning.
It's hard. I don't know. It really is hard. I'm not dismissing the question. I wouldn't know how to gauge it. They run really fast and they hit and they're breathing heavy, but they all breathe heavy. But I don't know that you could gauge what the stamina would. How would you? I don't even know how you would gauge if they were in better shape collectively as a team. You can gauge certain players.
Yes.
But overall as a team, that would be very, very hard to do. They look to be all physical specimens to me.
Yeah, not a lot. No hands on the knees stuff.
Correct.
We're seeing.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any players get carted off. I haven't seen any guys lose their lunch. But it's spring. The weather's been pretty nice in Tallahassee this entire time. There's like 2 players in particular. I'm not going to say their names, but I remember seeing them either have to go into the refrigerated trailer. Or like they would get carted back to the locker room, like after practice often. I was like, what's going on here? And like, you look like you're in really good shape, bud. What's going on here? I didn't see either of those guys exit the field this spring, but we'll see how it goes in preseason when it's 92 degrees out plus the humidity on top of it. But no, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the GPS stuff would probably give us a better picture into that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, they're out there flying around, and when there's gaps between drills, it's not because guys are trying to loaf and catch their breath, man. It's just they're getting instructions, so they do look well oiled. I would say that.
Okay.
Drill Sergeant Porter, wake up! Congrats, Corey.
Thank you.
No question this week. I've just been out for a while, but I'm still listening every day. I promise. Thank you both. Go Noles. Appreciate that, Drill Sergeant Porter. That's all we ask.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, I just looked it up, Aslan, by the way. What would you guess out of well, hold on. I'm going to tell you how many baseball teams there are in the country in Division I.
Like 240-something or maybe 300?
No, it's 305.
Oh.
Alcorn State is 305th in the country in RPI. Where would you think Florida State is?
I don't even know how RPI works. It's based on how good you are. I thought it's always like your schedule, like how
it's all it all comes into account, buddy. It's just like basketball. So out of 305, where would you think Florida State is?
I gave you some horrible number off air a few days ago, and then.
Have you looked it up?
No. But I'll adjust because you're like, I don't know about that, bud. Like 195th.
80.
Oh, I said 90-something when we
Yeah.
first talked about this. All right.
80, and they just went down 9 because of the aforementioned tough loss to North Florida. So before that, they were 71.
All right. They're not one of the worst Power 5 teams.
I was going to say they win a couple in a row, and they're sniffing the bubble. Apparently, there's 64 teams that get invited to this thing. You're in the top 80. Don't tell me you beat Florida a couple times, maybe go on a run. Yeah. Now you could say, look, Corey, they're 2-20 in their last 22. What gives you an indication that baseball's a funny sport, gang? Baseball, they just need something good to happen to them. Maybe Carry-On becomes lights out as a closer. I don't know. Try Cam Smith, the pitcher. What's Kamaka doing? Crowell has a right arm. There are a lot of possibilities, gang. So you only got to climb up about 20, 25 more spots to be in contention.
I mean, yeah, Cole Vincent went from the right side of the plate to the left side of the plate. I mean, surely, Wyatt Crowell
can throw with his right arm, yes.
All right. Random_John, Aslan, Corey, good morning, or should I say buenos dias, from sunny Isla Mujeres, Mexico.
Oh, okay, nice.
I've been here since last Thursday. I won't be back in Tallahassee until the 23rd. I may never come back. Anyways, Corey, congrats on getting married. That's awesome. I wish you both a lifetime of happiness.
Hey, let me slow you down right there. We're not married yet. I'm just kidding. We're essentially married, everyone. But I do have to make that adjustment sometimes.
In the eyes of the state of Florida and Georgia, you guys are, right?
I don't know. Just a proposal means you're married?
I meant with common law, whatever.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. And Brady was nice. Stephanie texted Brady something about, I know you saw. I hope you're okay with everything. I really like, hey, whatever she texted. It was a nice message, and Brady was like, "Oh no, I'm very excited. Welcome to the Clarks."
Yeah.
So that was a nice message for Brady. So Stephanie appreciated that.
Did you text Steph's children with similar sentiment? Open arms.
What was the question? What was the question we had here from our guy?
I read Corey's write-up of the spring game, and I came away without the warm and fuzzies about the backup. John, you're in Mexico. What?
Come on.
Of all the things that pull away from – all right, I love you. He did not walk away with the warm and fuzzies about the backup quarterback situation after reading Corey's work. Tate just being Tate without growth is not good. Just how bad is the fall-off from Jordan Travis to Tate? Also, I've been reading up on the basketball team, and, at least we have 5 confirmed players for next season. So what say you?
That's true. So you'll be able to field a team no matter what.
Will next year be worse than this year? Is that possible?
There was news on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Naheem McLeod is in the portal. That is not. I think,
a year ago, I would have been upset.
Yes. Yeah, there's no need. Number one, I would never say they have 2 hands on a player's back, pushing him towards the portal. But they certainly might have walking behind him, nudged a little. And I think of the 3 guys that have left, 2 of them got a pretty hefty nudge. So this again, Naheem McLeod might end up being a nice role player somewhere. In this system, he can't defend well enough. He's just not mobile enough to do what they're asking him to do. His hands are terrible, at least for Florida State. I don't know. Maybe it's the way they coach it. It makes no sense, but he doesn't have very good hands. But he'll go get a shot because he's 7'4", and he's a good He's a pretty good offensive rebounder. Maybe he can be a rim protector somewhere else where they don't ask him to guard point guards at the top of the key. But this was not a. I don't think I'm having to convince anyone here. There's not a lot of big Naheem McLeod fans in the Florida State fan base, but always seemed like a very good guy. Played hard. So again, same deal. We wish him well. And as for the basketball team, I mean, I would say, man, can you ask us again? I'm not trying to cop it out. Ask us again in 2 weeks. They aren't losing all-timers. They're not losing incredible They're losing 3 guys so far that are used to getting their teeth kicked in, and didn't seem all that upset when their teeth got kicked in. So you're kind of as talented as a couple of those guys might have been scoring the basketball, and they weren't. None of them were Tony Douglas. You might be flushing away some people that are okay getting just thrashed, and maybe you bring in a more competitive, tougher, mentally tougher, physically tougher group. But right now you brought in 2 guys we have no idea. You got a guy that can shoot from LaSalle that was the 6th man of the year in that conference, And then you got a guy from VCU that was he was a nice cog to a tournament team, but he was a 10-6 guy. He's not going to turn the program around, but he might be a nice piece. But they clearly need 2 or 3 more. And they need Baba Miller to take a huge step, Cam Fletcher to come back, blah, blah, blah. But the point being, no, I don't think they're going to be worse. Okay. I think there's been some addition by subtraction. I think they've flushed some things, maybe some non-competitive things that they needed to get out of the program. And we'll see. I could be completely wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and say they're going to at least get to double-digit wins next year.
And they're still in the mix for the kid, Primo Spears, I think his name is?
Kid from Georgetown, and I think he's going to visit. I think the report was he's going to visit in a week or so. He's like a 16.5 points per game guy from Georgetown that averaged 5 or 6 assists, one of the leaders of the conference in assists. He looks like a legitimate, real-deal point guard. Yeah. Not Jalen Worley. God love you, Jalen, but Jalen's not an offensively talented kid. Certainly not for the ACC. This kid might be. This kid might be for Florida State a 15-point, 5-assist guy. That's good stuff in the ACC. So he obviously hasn't committed yet. He's not here, but that would be a big get. He would be a guy that could get you a couple extra wins just because of his WAR is probably much higher than the point guards they had on the roster. But yeah, man, who knows? You just don't know. It's not like these guys grow up together. You don't know how. Even if Primo Spears comes here, well, how well does he play with the Watkins kid or the Nickelberry kid? Like, we don't know any of this. It's all to be determined. That's how the portal works. As for the other question was about the backup quarterbacks, right?
Yeah. Just how bad is the fall from Jordan to Tate? How about we do the ceiling floor? Like, what's the ceiling with Jordan Travis? National championship?
Sure. Yeah, we can say that. Yeah.
What's the ceiling with Tate? ACC championship?
That's a good question. I would be
hard. The floor with Jordan's probably 10-3. Floor with Tate would be
7 wins.
Okay,
I think you go 7 or 8 because he could lose you some games. I don't see Jordan Travis ever losing you games.
Did he lose you NC State?
No. I think not having a kicker you trusted lost you NC State. Yeah. I think that and Jordan wasn't good in that game, but I think that was more about the kicking situation. I would say Tate Rodemaker can lose you a couple games. I don't know that Jordan he can win you some too, and he can game manage you to most wins. You do have some talent. I haven't seen the ball security from him that I want to see to go along with all the good stuff. Like the really good quarterbacks can make all those throws that look dangerous, can make all those throws over the middle, and not throw it right to a defensive back once every 15 throws. But I haven't seen that from Rodemaker yet. So I know he would have some games where he's lights out, and you're like, man, he's looking great. He's 11 out of 14 for 240 yards and 3 touchdowns. But what's going to happen on that 15th throw? That's what I still haven't seen enough from him. So to answer about the drop from Jordan to Tate, I mean, it's a substantial one, but I don't know that's not specific to Florida State. Like, there's a lot of schools where the drop think about the Miami team from last year. The Van Dyke kid obviously didn't have a very good year anyway, but remember who they rolled in after him. That was a precipitous drop. That's just the nature of sport. That's the nature of football. The starter's the starter for a reason. What I'm more concerned about is the drop-off at Florida State. Right now, my biggest concern, because if Jordan Travis gets hurt, obviously the goals and the expectations change. You're not reaching your full ceiling. Just like most schools, if their starting quarterback got hurt, it's like, well, that's a couple losses that we weren't counting on. What I'm more concerned about is the future of the team past Jordan Travis and who, if any of these guys currently on the roster, have a chance to start in 2024.
As for the baseball team, how many years are we looking at before our pitchers can, pitch? Anyways, congratulations again. Everyone be well. Go Noles.
Thank you. I think next year. Next year. They're bringing in they've got to bring in, I don't know, man. I don't know how many pitchers they have on this staff. 14, 15, something like that. you've got to bring in 10 other ones.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
You just have to.
Yeah.
And that's. I mean, this is an unbelievably bad pitching staff that doesn't have. Well, once Wyatt Crowell went out, I don't know that you like Baumeister. He was the national pitcher of the week last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, and
Then this last week, he
shelled.
pitches Friday night, and they end up losing. They give up 14 runs. So you can't even count on your Friday night guy. There's no consistency there. Connor Whitaker, not a bad pitcher. He's had some good moments, but he hasn't been spectacular. He's been thrust into the starting role now, but he wasn't pitching all that well before that. They just don't have anybody. They don't have anybody that you can count on. They don't have anybody that Carson. They don't have anybody that you would say is a bona fide major league draft pick.
No.
Baumeister and Montgomery have some stuff, sure, but especially Montgomery never translates to anything. Great, man. It was funny. The guy from it's not Baseball America. It's Aaron Fitt. So I think he's D1 baseball right now. He was that because I think their headquarters are in North Carolina, or he lives there. He was at the NC State Florida State game on Sunday that Montgomery started. And he's like, yeah, it's weird. He goes, Montgomery's sitting 95, 96 and has a sharp breaking ball, but he just continues to get hit. It's like, no, man, it's not weird. This is what happens. Yeah. But, and I also think he needs to be a reliever. We've been saying that for 2 years now. Anytime they start him, it's awful, and they probably need to figure that out. But, yeah, man, the beauty about college baseball is it is more fluid than any sport. That you literally can almost overhaul a complete roster in a year. Yeah. And, buddy, Link better. He better overhaul this roster, especially the pitching staff.
I will move all my chips into the middle with Corey and say that the basketball team will be better next year if they get Primo Spears. If they don't, then all bets are off. But
do you think even if they don't get Primo Spears?
No, I don't buy the kumbaya stuff, man. I don't.
No, you don't think they could get to 10 wins? That's all. I didn't say they'd be great.
Right.
I said better. It's a very, very low bar. It's a bar you would trip on.
Yeah.
They can't clear that.
I mean,
this was all-time stuff.
What do they play? Like a minimum of
32 games, something.
Yeah.
They were 9-23, so they would play 32 games.
Oh man.
They can't get to 10 wins?
You're right.
All right, just throwing that out there. Come on, guys. Maybe Baba's going to be Baba's just going to go off.
Yeah.
He's just going to go off.
Yeah,
Getting Cleveland out of the way, he develops. He becomes that guy Cleveland wanted to be. He plays 34 minutes and averages, 16 and 9. Yeah. Maybe you get that out of him.
I'm there. All right. You won me over. Good job, Corey. Good closing argument.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Nullboy02. Hey, Aslan and Corey, wake up. If Warchant were to ever return, parenthetically he says, I hope it will someday. I don't, because that means that a pandemic has come and plagued our globe. What would be your go-to game to discuss? Who would be your dream guest? Support the sponsors, the team, the collectives, and warchant.com. Congrats on your engagement, Corey. P.S. Would you invite Coach Norvell to y'all's wedding?
I did invite him. I told him Stephanie wanted him to give her away. And he just laughed, and then that's when he told me not to post any shirtless honeymoon pics. Yeah, I would invite him. I don't know. That might be, we try to stay journalistically ethical to a certain extent, and I don't know if inviting him to my wedding, if he were to accept, would I then be less likely to criticize him?
Absolutely,
the next time he screws up?
You're a human being. I'm a human being. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know if that's the right play there. So maybe I can invite Willie. I don't worry about criticizing him anymore. I don't cover him.
What about Jimbo? I'll go deliver.
Our Jimbo, Jimbo will come. So the Warchant things, for people that don't know, they were really cool. We did them because of the pandemic, but we would take like famous games in Florida State history, and then the
89.
We had
what would Kirk Carruthers come on for? Was the 89?
He was
Miami
the 89.
Game?
Yeah, the 89 Miami game. Yeah. We had EJ for the 2012 Clemson game. We had we had PK Sam for the 03 Florida game.
And I think Chris Ricks had a cameo later on. I think Chris Ricks jumped on too.
Oh, did he? Not with me, he didn't. I don't think. We had. I'm
thinking about the 4th and 14. We did one with Jordan.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Sorry.
And then we had Bobby Butler talking about the 80 Pitt game. I think it was Bobby Butler. Yeah.
Cannell, did he choke a doke?
Cannell did choke at Doak. Yeah. Yeah, because I told him, which was really fun. You guys should go back and find those if you haven't, because they deserve more views, and we've got like probably 20,000 more subscribers to our YouTube channel than we did back then. But Cannell was the quarterback for the choke at Doak, and I even told him, I'm like, look, the only reason me and my dad stayed in our seats when it was 31-3 is because we were waiting for you to get pulled so we could see Thad Busby. And he goes, I promise you're not the first person that's told me that. And so I was like, and then we were like, if you didn't score that one, like we assumed y'all were going to score to make it third. Well, once that drive was over, they bring in Busby, and we were just going to stay and watch that, but we'd all given up. But yeah, man, I think we did 6 of them maybe, but they're really cool and in depth about those specific games. So anyway, now that all that's out of the way, I would say maybe Rashad for the Auburn game.
Okay. All right.
I think he would be good. I think he definitely had over 100 yards in that game. And also the play that always gets overlooked and shouldn't, because it was a huge play. It was the play right before Kelvin, where Rashad makes that inside move on Chris Davis and gets spun around. Otherwise, it's a touchdown. And I love that the refs called it. It wasn't just, hey, let him play, it's late. Like, they called it. It was clearly a pass interference. But, like, that play to go along with the 50-yard pass he had to start the drive, where he took like a 6-yard slant and turned it into a Rashad play. And then also he had the big drop that came right before the fake punt. Like, Rashad never dropped anything. Yeah. And they're down 21-3. It's 3rd and 7. He's got a nice 10-yard gain, and he just drops it. And they still go, and then so like I would love to know like what he was thinking in that precise moment. Like, golly, we got about nothing's going like all that. So I just think he'd be a really good. I mean, Jameis is the easy answer, but I just went a little bit off the beaten path and chose Rashad there. Or Brady Scott, maybe Brady Scott for Jacksonville State. Anyway, somebody on Seminole Headlines asked who had the better proposal, me or Brady Scott.
Oh, shoot. Whatever game it would be, I would have to watch it beforehand. I have just my recall is so bad. I don't even know what it's all gone towards. Like, I don't know what has replaced all the Florida State memories in my mind. I keep trying to say that I was drunk during most of them because I was in college, which is true, but I lived and died with those teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How about like 2005 ACC title game with Willie Reed?
Okay, all right.
That'd be a kind of cool one maybe to talk about.
Because I think he caught a touchdown in that game too. I don't think he just had the punt return. I think he did something else in that game too. I'll look it up.
Okay.
Think of another one.
Otherwise, no. Like it probably would have been like 2003 Florida game with Ricks. Yeah.
Okay, Ricks, well, we did PK.
I know.
But I hear you. Ricks was your guy.
He was my guy.
And also, I forgot we did Ponder, the 2010 Florida game with Christian Ponder when they finally ended that streak and beat Florida. And he was really good, as you can imagine.
How about like maybe 2014 Notre Dame game with who do I want to have? Leary? No, I don't know. I don't know if Nick will be.
I mean, like Rashad had a big.
Jalen. How about Jalen? Because he was involved in that last play, like when they did when the ball sailed into the end zone in the back of it, and they had
him and Darby him and Darby. If Jalen would like give you the really break down the film, like really break down what was going on during these plays, yeah, he'd be great. It's just a matter if you're getting that Jalen. But yeah, if you could get that Jalen, that would be tremendous. The beauty of what we do and the team we cover is there's a ton to choose from. That's why we were barely scratching the surface with like 7 or 6 or whatever we did. I mean, there's dozens and dozens that we could choose. So I did look it up. Willie Reed not only did he have the I think it was an 83-yard punt return. Let me look at it. Yeah, he had an 83-yard punt return. It was 3-3 in the third quarter because it's just what it was. And then he had that 83-yard punt return that started a 24-point run for the Noles. But he also had 5 catches for 79 yards in that game. Only Willie Reed, man. Yeah. One of the more underrated Noles from that era. If he'd have played in the dynasty, he'd be thought of so much differently
He'd be beloved.
because he was so good. He was so good and was so versatile.
MyBookie.ag, pretty versatile. You can bet live. You can bet in advance. You can bet for the future. You can even go into their sports book, which is what I'm talking about, the casino, I meant. Use the promo code WARCHANT, though, when you're over at MyBookie.ag to maximize your leverage. You'll get an instant cash deposit bonus when you use the promo code WARCHANT. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere over at MyBookie. They also have the money bag, which increases your odds, gives you boosted odds for player props and other lines that are out there. Not the basketball guy again. I don't know if I gave you guys good picks the other day or not. I think I did. What do you think about the Sixers giving out 4.5 on the road at Brooklyn, Corey? Or do you want Warriors giving out 5.5 at home against Sacramento without Draymond?
I still think the Warriors are going to win that one.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. The Warriors might just say, you know what, we're done with this run. We're done. Yeah. It's not happening. We can't win this with this team. It's just not our year. I think I would take the Kings before I took the Nets.
Okay.
If I was going to pick up those two. But the Sixers really bothered me with the way they played that last game. They should beat the bejesus out of the Nets, and they didn't. They struggled. But I just think that might have been the blip. And then they might turn it on and try to close this bad boy out. So, I would say I'd take the Kings. I think the Kings know they can. If they win this game, it's a wrap. So they might play a little bit harder than the Nets. The Nets know they're not winning this series. I think the Kings know they can win the series tonight in that game.
Hawks catching 5 at home from the Seas, man.
No. It's no chance.
MyBookie.ag. Use the promo code WARCHANT. All right, let's get a couple more in here. We'll get to the rest of them on Friday's program. Thanks again for hanging out, everybody. Hit the thumbs up if you're still here on YouTube. Niner Knoll. Wake up, gentlemen. Congrats to Corey and Stephanie. Keep the faith, Aslan. Your time is coming.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. So my question is, what's your take on Coach Pat Surtain? How's his style? How's the buy-in? Or can you really tell any difference just yet? Thanks so much.
Look, I could lie to you and try to look smart and try to tell you, oh, yeah, I see all this. No, you can't tell any difference yet. You can't. I will say this: I have liked, is this the product of coaching, or is it just the product of the players being better? But I have liked the way they fought for balls more. Now it didn't always result in a bunch of picks, but I really liked how physical they are at the point where they're both jumping for the ball, running down the sideline. Like Johnny Wilson made some great catches. But they were great catches because he was really being competed with.
He had to earn it. Yes.
Right? Don't you agree with that a little bit? I do like what I've seen there. Yeah. Other than that, it's just too early. It's just too early to say.
I will say, think about your top cornerbacks, and to your point, it's hard to say whether it's just a year of being older and wiser, if it's 15 practices with a new position coach. But like Renardo Green got better. Jarian Jones is better.
Yeah.
Greedy Vance is better.
Greedy Vance definitely looked better than he did, well, certainly at this time last year, but even through most of last season, right?
Yeah.
Like Greedy Vance this spring was one of the better players. So is Jarian. Yeah. I guess. Yeah.
But Darius Jones is a guy that's shown up here and is looking pretty good. So.
But you just wonder, right, with older guys, is that because they're just getting better because that's a natural evolution of athletics, or are they getting better because they're getting coached better? But I did like what I saw out of those corners for the most part.
Yeah, I just think that we'll give them some credit, not all.
Yeah,
but it's obviously it's a good sign. It's a good trend that the guys that are back here have shown improvement over what they were at. But then you can maybe say, well, Fentrell Cypress was second-team All-ACC, and right now he does not look like he is a second-team All-Conference guy. So I guess that
Fentrell Cypress looked kind of bored.
Yeah,
honestly,
right.
I just there's no way he just can't play. I just think my man's going through his third or fourth spring for sure. Now you'd like him to maybe want to put his foot down and establish himself at a new team. But I think he feels pretty confident that when August comes and they're actually competing, getting ready for the season, he can turn that on a little bit and be the other guy opposite of Renardo. But, yeah, to me, he just looked a little bit bored. But, yeah, he did not have a great spring at all. But I thought the other guys we mentioned all had really impressive springs.
Big B7034. Morning, gentlemen. First off, congrats, Corey, on the engagement. Wishing you and Stephanie many happy years.
Yep. At least I just want to beat Shannon and I's mark. So that was what were we married? I think we were married 10 years, 11 years. So
Good run.
All right, that's a good run. We want to get to at least a baker's dozen. That's what I'm hoping for with Stephanie.
How
and
long
by that time, I'll be almost in my 60s.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna. What would be the point of that? So I think we're in it for the long haul, gang. I really do.
How long has she been remarried? How much of a head start does she have on you?
Let's see. It was after the. Was that after the Southern Miss game in the bowl?
Oh,
They got engaged. So I would say they're coming up on 5 years, 4 years.
All right, well, he's got to
It's been a
outlast
minute,
them.
yeah.
All right, it's got to.
Yeah, that's right. They got a head
My
start.
bookie giving out 5 years.
What's the money line? What's the money line on the Clarks versus the Bottanginos?
All right, with so much change coming in the near future, what are you guys most excited for? The musical chairs, that is conference realignment. Are Noles under Norvell getting back to national relevance, the impact of NIL, or playoff expansion? Keep up the good work as usual, boys, and as always, go Noles.
I'm really excited about the playoffs.
Okay.
I just think that's going to change the whole complexion of the sport. Now, again, yes, at the end of the day, it might be Georgia versus Alabama 3 out of 5 years. Although let's not act like Georgia has just been running college football for 2 decades.
Yeah.
But even still, Kirby knows what he's doing clearly, and they're recruiting like a juggernaut. So they're going to be around for a while. Kirby's not going anywhere. But they can be beaten. And Jeff made a really good point, I thought, when he was talking about the NIL and how the NIL is changing things because Alabama's losing guys in the portal they're not used to losing. And I'm like, yeah, they're still Alabama. They're still going to be pretty good. And he's like, well, right, but they had a quarterback that's about to be the number 1 player in the draft, and they didn't even make the playoff. So they did take a hit, like for them, like their ceiling got lowered a little bit. And I do think NIL is leveling the field weirdly.
Was that because of the portal and NIL, or because he was hurt against Tennessee, and their kicker didn't deliver? And
oh well, right, but they give up 40 points to Tennessee. We haven't seen they're not used to being like the rest of us. And like if you lose a defensive end, you're gonna feel it.
Right.
I mean, they feel it when they lose players now, and that's how it's supposed to be. But it wasn't the case there for the last 10 years, 12 years. But I think. The play just having 12 teams in the playoff means there's 20 teams in contention every year for those 12, maybe 25. I don't know. You might go into November with 24 different teams that could possibly get into the playoff, depending on how things shake out. That's just so good for the sport, man. It's so good for the sport, and then you can sell to these recruits. Yeah, we'll be competitive in the NIL, man. We will, but also we make the playoffs every 3 out of 5 years. We're a playoff contender. We're like the I don't know, man. Think of an NFL team that's always in the playoffs or sniffing the playoffs. Like
Chiefs.
They're Alabama. The Ravens.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The Ravens are always, if they're not in the playoffs, they're right there.
Right.
And I just think you'd have it's so good for the totality of the sport, all corners of the sport, to have more than just Georgia, Alabama, and Ohio State playing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the impact of that. And the impact that had the home games for a playoff, I think are going to be awesome. It's just gonna have a really cool feel because the college football. Let's be honest, these 4-team playoffs for the most part have sucked, right?
Yeah,
by and large,
especially the semifinal.
Right.
Games,
these were the 2 this past year were great. Like I thought the Michigan TCU game was exciting.
Oh, it was, yeah.
And then the Georgia Ohio State game was an all-timer, but then the championship game sucked.
Yeah.
So it's, you know what I mean? Like it's never been a 3-game. It's never, as far as I can remember, 3 great games that were compelling. New Year's Eve nonsense. It's just been not fun. I think the 12-team version will be really fun.
I mean, obviously, we're most excited about Florida State being really good again because just
Sure.
We'll be going to Phoenix. We'll be going to Pasadena.
Yep.
We'll be going to Miami. These are the places we'll be spending our New Year's in. For the foreseeable future. That's really cool, selfishly. But also all of us, we're all going to be there in spirit or maybe literally there. I would say a conference realignment, though, because it's like soap operatic. And I like the soap opera aspect of college sports, college football. So just to see where this is all going to shake out and the rumors you hear, and then you kind of start thinking about how awesome it would be if you're in this conference or you're in this division playing against these teams, and what happens if it breaks down to 2 super conferences. So that to me is the gift that's going to keep on giving, because the expansion's set. Like, we know it's coming. That is going to be awesome. But like, conference realignment is still that unsettled, albatross that's around our neck. It's like, let's figure this thing out already. So
that one gives me a little more trepidation, though, because we don't know exactly how it's going to shake out and when. But I know the playoffs are coming. So I guess I'm more excited about that because we know there's an actual concrete day that's starting.
All right, let's get 2 or 3 more in here. XDQ004, wake up. Congrats, Corey. Aslan, you're now on the clock. LOL.
Amen.
There we go. Play the ESPN draft music for me. Question: who is your favorite Florida State football player who was not a star or household name? My choice would be Orpheus Roy. What say you? Go Noles. Drink vitamin energy.
Orpheus Roy, huh? 98. Big dude.
Strong.
I think he played in the league with the Steelers for a few years.
I think so. You're right. He did. Maybe the Browns? Oh, one of the other.
Maybe the Browns, too, yeah. That wasn't a household name.
Yeah.
I always had a soft spot for Jeff Chaney.
Okay.
Does he count? He was a running back.
Everybody loves Jeff Chaney. I feel he's like,
yeah, but he was a running back. He's not. I wouldn't say he's not the people don't talk about him when they talk about the great running backs, and he was a backup most of his time, all of his time at Florida State.
If you ask most Florida State fans, they're like the average rank and file guy, not the guy that's on Warchant that's completely dialed in, but just the guy that's wearing a Florida State shirt at a gym in Fort Lauderdale. Maybe not Fort Lauderdale. I should say like Ocala.
What about Clearwater?
All right, yeah, someone want to be in Jeff Chaney's backyard.
Right.
Would be like, probably wouldn't know who Jeff Chaney is, so we'll qualify that. That's acceptable.
What about Rock Preston? Does he count?
Yeah, he's up there as well.
Because that name though is so recognizable that, but so that's Jeff Chaney is always my guy just because he was not Travis Minor. He didn't get the carries that Travis Minor did, but he had some really big moments for that team. Really tough runner. So he's my guy. But there's got to be other guys. There's a million of them. I'm just not. None of them are coming to my mind right now.
I'll go with my guy Ron Lunford, aka Lucky Lunford.
All right, that came out of nowhere.
Well, we got to go someone who wasn't a star or a household name. I feel like that's
gotcha.
Off the.
But what did you like his game, or just like who he was as a person?
Well, I guess he was 350 pounds and he never played, and it was like, why are they not playing him? And this, like, Ira was covering the team, and I'm like, why don't they start? I don't know if I was around at that time. I'm like, why don't they start this guy? Like, my buddy actually played on the line. I'm like, surely you can do better than, lineman X, Y, or Z. Why don't you guys play Lucky? And he's like, dude, Lucky's feet are horrible. He cannot play. Well, in 2005, that year when they won the ACC championship game, they were so pushed to the brink on both lines of scrimmage that I think Lunford actually started that game against Virginia Tech, and he did pretty well. I think like him and Mario Henderson ended up like starting at tackle in that game. The late Mario Henderson, God rest his soul. And, like, they won that game. And I'm like, you see? Look what happens when you put a big dude out there. So I'll go throw on Lucky Lunford. That's my pick.
I think, his friends and family would love – like, it started out, this is going to be a nice moment for Lucky Lunford. Right. And then you talked about how his feet were terrible. And he could never play.
I started off with
threw Ira under the bus a little bit.
Ira was like you're right. Fair enough. But it finished off well. I'm like, hey.
It was a great finish, yes.
I heard he didn't have good footwork, but turns out he starts the game on the bright lights. Brent Musburger on the mic. I think Brent Musburger's on the mic. And in front of a 65% capacity crowd in Jacksonville. So
it's an impossible question, though, because you have to either choose somebody like Aslan just chose that had like 3 games that they played that they contributed, or somebody that was obviously an incredible athlete to start for a Florida State team that was memorable. Yeah. Because, look, man, Terrence Brooks was not a star. Right. Not on that team comparatively to everyone else, right?
Yeah.
He was, he's like, if you start listing 2013 football players, he might make the top 10 maybe, but probably not. He's not even the 4th DB you would choose, maybe the 4th one, but you'd say Jalen, LaMarcus, Darby and PJ before him, probably, when you're running off that secondary. I love that dude. He was very, very good. And he also played in the league for 9 years. So can he count? Probably not. He played in the NFL for almost a decade. And then I was thinking of a guy that played in the mid-'90s, Shevin Smith, who came in as a walk-on and then ended up being a starting safety and ended up getting drafted.
Yep.
It's like, all right, well, he started at Florida State for 2 years at least. It ended up getting drafted, so he's not really a no-name either. That's the thing. They didn't have a ton of no-namers.
Right. Like two guys that I like a lot, and we'll go on to the next one, like Greg Carr, Preston Parker. But I think most Florida State fans know those guys.
Yep,
you know?
They sure do. Yep.
So, anywho, good question though, Derek.
It is. It's just hard because there's so many. It's a lot of names there.
B50. My condolences, Corey. Oops, I mean congratulations. Weddings, funerals, I can't tell the difference anymore.
Right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No topic to discuss, just passing through to say Mazel Tov.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. That was and again, all the responses. I think Stephanie said there was one mean guy on Twitter, and that was it. I'm like, well, that's a great percentage. Also, never look at the comments ever. But yeah, everybody's been very, very nice, and everybody that was there, that was great, and everybody that's reached out since then. There were people that congratulated on headlines too, so it was really cool. I'm glad everybody was there. I meant to ask you this: did you post your video?
No, I just texted it to you guys.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, because Jeff got the money shot because he saw me get in the ring, but I didn't know he was going to do that. And if he hadn't have done that, then your shot would have been the money shot.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll cut it all up like the Florida State reaction to Kelvin Benjamin's touchdown in Pasadena one day. We'll use everybody's video. We'll use the live shot. We'll use all of our friends that were 50 feet away, almost blowing the secret.
The doldrums of the summer are coming, Aslan. We could do a breakdown of the proposal. And you could interview Steph and I and we could talk you through it.
Yeah, okay.
It could be like a war chat, but about the proposal. Just throwing that out there. Yeah, people would watch.
Could be my wedding gift to you guys too. What do you get?
There you go.
What do you get for the person that already has everything, ladies and
That's
gentlemen?
That's right. An 8-minute YouTube video. Anything for the clicks. We're just looking for content, gang.
Yeah, come on, y'all. There's 36,000 of you that subscribe. Like 3,000 of you are watching this. Why? What's going on? Marlon from Miami. Wake up, gents. Mazel tov, Corey.
Thank you.
Looks like the turnaround of our program is really happening. 10-win season, top 5 recruiting class possibly for next year, and a possible playoff run. Is the blueprint to our success having a quarterback room reminiscing those from the late 80s and 90s where one quarterback sits for 2 to 3 years learning the system under another 2 or 3 year quarterback who did the same? Love the show as always.
Thank you. I think that's ideal. Clearly, that's what almost every coach in America would want, is an experienced backup who then can take the reins. I mean, they had it wired up in the dynasty years. I just don't know if that's feasible.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can count on I just don't know that you can count on, let's say Rodemaker wasn't on this team and it was Duffy and Glenn. I don't know that you could count on both of those guys staying. It's just not the way it works anymore. They just wouldn't. Back then they would, at least until somebody lost the job. But by then they're a redshirt junior. So you even have experienced guys competing for it. Like, you go to Casey Weldon and Brad Johnson were both redshirt juniors when they were competing in 90 for that job. Danny Cannell and John Stark were both juniors when they were competing for that job. So that won't be – I just don't see it. I think Rodemaker probably slides in next year, but I'm not 100% sure of that. But I don't think both Duffy and Glenn will be there to compete with them in the spring of next year.
Agreed.
Especially with Kromanek coming in.
Kromenhawk.
Hawk Dog.
Think of him as Birdman. It's Crow-Man Hawk.
Crowman Hawk?
Kromenhawk, yeah. Say it all one.
Kromenhawk. Okay, yeah. Man. That's a great. I hope he's good, man. Because that's a cool. We could have some fun with that one.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Like let's say Rodemaker's your stopgap until Crowman Hawk. I know it's Croman Hawk, but I'm going to say Crowman Hawk every time now. Like maybe, you know what I mean? Like Rodemaker's your stopgap until Crowman Hawk is ready. But is Glenn going to stick around in the meantime, or Duffy? Like that, it's just One of those guys probably won't be here because that's the way the world works. And I hope people, and now I'm not trying to jinx it, we still got 10 days left. I hope people appreciate Tate because that is a nice luxury to have. And that going back to the question earlier, no, he's not Jordan Travis, but he's not a true freshman either, and he's not A.J. Duffy. Like let me tell you this, if you ask me the question, what would be could they win an ACC championship with A.J. Duffy? My answer is no. And I'm talking about 2023 A.J. Duffy, not 2024 or 2025. He might really improve. I don't think he's ready to lead this team to an ACC championship. I don't know that he could lead them to 7 wins. I know Tate Rodemaker could. Like, he could at least keep you above water, and so you don't have a disastrous season. And I know there's a lot of talent around Florida State right now that you would think, okay, any quarterback could get him to 9 wins. I don't think that's the case, man. There are quarterbacks that could outright lose you games, that could work against you. I think right now, Brock Glenn too, because he's a true freshman, those guys could not give you what Tate Rodemaker can give you in 2023. Tate Rodemaker's not going to give you a national championship. He can win you a game, though, I think. And I don't know that I could think those other guys would. But that's just an opinion. They're just young, and they haven't proven it yet. That second half against Louisville, still fresh in my mind. And I didn't think Rodemaker was awful in the spring game. He just threw a couple balls that make you shake your head, but that's the Tate Rodemaker experience.
All right, last one. Steele.
All right, let's do it.
Steele, 21-27. Wake up, fellas. Corey, congrats, man.
Thank you.
Aslan, don't ever change, homie. Thank you. Question, who are the 4 most important Florida State players of all time? Not the best, most important, most impactful to the program. We were so bad recently, and it seems to me that during that time, all we really had was Jordan. He was our only hope of even getting a first down. Appreciate you guys making Seminole football a year-round activity for me. My 10-year-old son told me that Jordan Travis is his favorite player and the Noles are his favorite team. I think I can officially retire from parenting. Seems my work here is done.
You still got some more work to do. 10. Okay. Trust me, some bad stuff still coming. But that's awesome. Sounds like you got a smart kid.
What are easier, though? Have the first 7.5 years or the last 7.5 years been the toughest of rearing Brady Clark?
Man, it is. I get madder at him now because you trust you expect more because the brains are more developed. Still not fully, but when he was 6, I would have to scream at him so he wouldn't yell and he wouldn't run in front of a truck in a parking lot. Like just straight running through a parking lot, not looking both ways when a truck has to slam on their brakes.
That happened? That really happened?
Yes.
Oh,
yep.
Geez.
Yep. And I mean, we freaked out first, and then you just want to throw him into you want to throw him in front of the truck. You get so mad at him. Like, okay, man, go. Do it. See what happens. You won't do that again, I bet. That's how mad you get at him because they just don't think, but he was 6 or 7 or whatever he is. Now when he's 15 and he decides he's going to wear his baseball cleats into the house without, knocking the dirt off. It's like, man, what? I mean, you still don't think. It's different. Now, he doesn't run in front of cars anymore, but he still just does dumb stuff, and that's just, I guess that's how.
Children. That's boys being boys.
Yeah, you're right, I guess.
Some used to say.
To answer that question, Ron Simmons and Dion are 2 for sure, without a doubt. Dion was the guy that made Florida State cool. He was the guy that obviously was great, that made Florida State a showman school, that made them on par with Miami. He was obviously part of one of the best recruiting classes ever. Started the dynasty his last 2 years was the start of the dynasty. Ron Simmons was Bowden's first big recruit. Started a little mini dynasty there where they won at least, I think they won 10 games, 9 games, 11 games in his 4 years. So it made Florida State went from a punchline to a top 15 program with Ron Simmons, and he was a national name, and was an All-American almost every year. And then Dion was Dion. Those 2 for sure. The other 2, man, that's where it gets tricky. I don't know. Like Charlie, because he got you the first title.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you put Burt Reynolds or Lee Corso in there?
No, only because here's why. Because they were in there. Burt was great. I mean, Burt certainly gave a lot of publicity and money to Florida State. But when Burt was the biggest star in the world, Daryl Mooger was the coach, and they weren't winning any games. And that happened after Corso and Burt Reynolds had played there. So they obviously didn't establish a foundation to the point. I don't think Burt Reynolds wasn't very good. Corso was. But even like the Bolitnikovs and the Sellerses of the world, as good as they were, they didn't establish some sort of foundation that couldn't be wrecked. Simmons helped turn them in from – Bowden obviously had the most to do with it, but Simmons helped turn them in from a awful team to a good team very quickly, and then Dion turned them into a dynasty, obviously with the help of many countless others. But Dion was the start of the dynasty. Simmons was the start of the Florida State becoming a top-notch program. So that's why I'd say nothing before Ron Simmons can count because you went through that awful phase.
Yeah, Charlie's in there then, and then the fourth will be fans' choice.
Maybe the reason I was leaning Jameis is because, say Jameis goes to Alabama.
Right.
What had the last 20 years been for Florida State, really?
Yeah, no, that's
would people be making the jokes about, you can watch your last national championship on a VHS tape?
Yeah.
Like the joke with Miami, you can't watch your highlight tapes on a DVD or because they happened on, with VCRs. Like Jameis, that's it was a 2-year window, and there were other good teams and good players around him. But if Jameis doesn't come, they probably win the ACC championship in 13. They might win it even in 14, but they're not winning national championships, and they're not going to the playoff, and they're not winning 29 in a row. So I think Jameis might be one of those as well.
Fair.
Okay.
Won't get any argument from me on that. Will not.
Right. Good.
All right, we'll put a bookmark in there. That's halfway through the mailbag.
Boy.
We got a bunch more. We'll do it tomorrow, though. We'll do a Friday show because we're crazy like that. Stay connected to warchant.com, though, throughout the week, throughout the offseason. Transfer portal is open. When guys enter it, we'll let you know. When they start pursuing guys, we'll let you know. Premium Recruiting Board, Michael Langston, all that got you covered. Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 3 o'clock. Check that out, 93.3 FM as well as Warchant TV. That's our YouTube channel, which you should be subscribed to. It's totally free. Hit the thumbs up on that if you're listening to us still. 5-star rating and review on the way out as well. That'd be cool as well. I said as well too many times. Corey, thank you for hanging out.
Hey, thank you, Aslan. You're the best.
He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.